Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're immersing ourselves in a source that, well, it really traces the line between history, mythology, and prophecy.
It absolutely does. We've got a really extensive analysis of the Puranic texts.
And we're focusing on the end of the cosmic cycle and the descent of Lord Kalki.
The 10th and final avatar of the Hindu deity Vishnu.
Yeah, and this is more than just a story, isn't it? It feels like a blueprint for cosmic restoration.
That's a great way to put it. Our mission today is really to unpack the nuts and bolts of this ultimate conflict, the Dharma War, as it's often called.
The war that's prophesied to close out our current age, the Kali Yuga.
And usher in the Golden Age, the Satyayuga.
So before we even get to the war itself, we have to set the stage. We have to understand the world that makes the arrival of a divine warrior necessary.
In the Puranas, they paint a pretty grim picture.
They really do. They describe this moment when the limits of a dharma of unrighteousness are just completely and totally broken.
A time when truth bows its head and humanity sort of forgets that there's anything higher than itself.
It's described as a real moment of existential crisis. The earth itself, unable to bear the weight of all this sin, calls out.
It calls out to its protector, Lord Hurley. And the texts, they really emphasize the sheer force of this, the very act of this god descending. It's said to make time itself tremble.
So this isn't just, a political intervention.
No, not at all. It's a necessary, final mechanism for civilizational survival.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What specific conditions define this absolute low point of the Kali Yuga that demands such a spectacular world-ending response?
Well, the source material is very clear. This is when unrighteousness takes on its monstrous form.
A monstrous form.
Yeah. According to the prophecies, Lord Vishnu will be born as Kalki, and he'll be born in a totally ordinary village.
But his purpose is anything but ordinary.
His purpose is singular, to annihilate this pervasive spiritual and moral corruption. His birth signals the definitive end of the age.
Now, every great hero needs an equally powerful villain. And what I find fascinating is the definition of Kalki's antagonist, Kali. He isn't a celestial being or some ancient demon in the way you might think.
That's a critical distinction. Kali isn't born from a god or a sage. He's born entirely from the destructive residue of humanity's own failures.
So is us.
In a way, yes. He is the crystallization of greed, of violence, attachment, ego, lust, deceit. The Puranas call him a living embodiment of every injustice and every falsehood of the age.
Wow. That makes the conflict so intensely personal to humanity, doesn't it?
It does.
If the enemy is literally the personification of human sin, it's not just a battle against some external threat, it's a battle against the worst parts of ourselves.
It is. And if your enemy is that philosophically complex, the hero needs equally sophisticated preparation. Which brings us to the training.
Right, even an avatar of the Supreme Being needs a specific kind of initiation to wield the power to reset the cosmos.
And this is where the story takes a really surprising turn. When Lord Vishnu, as Kalki, turns 16, he gets a visitor.
His appointed guru, Parashurama.
Exactly. Parashurama, who is the 6th incarnation of Vishnu, and, this is key, one of the 7 Chiranjeevas, the immortals.
He's a vital bridge then.
A vital bridge. The source describes him as wielding the weapon of time itself. He's a master who has survived previous yugas and understands this cycle of destruction.
Which raises a pretty profound question, doesn't it? Why does one god need to teach another? Why isn't the final avatar just born with all the knowledge he needs?
Because the nature of the Kali Yuga, this specific age, requires a specific grounded wisdom. It's not just about divine instinct.
Okay.
The Puranas actually state that Parashurama is the only guru in the entire universe capable of instructing Kalki.
The only one.
He's tasked with transmitting the knowledge of how to operate within the specific ethics and, you could say, physics of a declining world.
So what's on the curriculum for a divine avatar? What does this training involve?
It's incredibly comprehensive and deeply strategic. Parashurama imparts divine knowledge, yes, focusing on archery and swordsmanship, but more importantly,
The divine weapons.
mastery of the great divine weapons. Specifically, the texts mention the Brahmastra and the Pashutastra.
Let's pause there for a second. For anyone who isn't steeped in the mythology, why are those 2 weapons so significant?
Well, they're weapons of creation and dissolution. The Brahmastra is often seen as a weapon that invokes the power of creation itself, but it's capable of just immense devastation.
And the Pashutastra.
That one is linked to Shiva. It represents the power of universal destruction. So the key insight here is that Kalki isn't just learning how to fight.
He's learning how to channel the fundamental forces of the universe.
Exactly. The very powers you would need to truly, finally end an era.
But you mentioned the curriculum goes beyond just destructive power.
It has to. Parashurama's teaching is centered on ethics, on how to use this unimaginable power wisely and how to surrender every action to justice.
So it's power with a purpose.
A very specific purpose. The training is aimed directly at destroying the unrighteousness that oppresses the innocent, that has turned humans into demons. It ensures Kalki's power is always guided by Dharma.
That moral grounding is clearly essential because the fight ahead, it requires a coalition rooted in all these different forms of righteousness.
Right. The armies of light are led not just by Kalki, but by the 7 immortals, the Chiranjeevas.
And this assembly of immortals, it's one of the most compelling parts of the whole prophecy.
It really is. They're like anchors of truth that span across multiple eras, all coming together for this one final war.
So let's run through them. Who are these pillars of the Dharma war? It's quite a rogues gallery of eternal figures.
It is. So first you have Ashwathama.
The powerful but cursed warrior from the Mahabharata.
That's him. His eyes are filled with this righteous but also tragic anger. He carries immortality like a burden. His inclusion alone shows you that even figures touched by darkness can be repurposed for the cause of light.
Then you have the deeply symbolic presence of King Bali.
His role is crucial. Bali was technically a demon king, an asura.
Right.
But he was such a paragon of charity and duty that even after Vishnu, in his Vamana avatar, banished him to the underworld, his lamp of Dharma never went out.
Which proves that the war is about your moral alignment, not your lineage.
Precisely. Then you have Vibhishana, the king of Lanka, who famously chose Rama's Dharma over his own brother Ravana.
The embodiment of intellectual righteousness.
Yeah, and of course Sri Hanuman, the embodiment of devotion, power, humility, a spiritual powerhouse.
And to round out the 7.
You have Kripacharya, the immortal guru from the Mahabharata. You have Lord Parashurama, Kalki's own mentor, as we mentioned.
And finally,
Maharishi Ved Vyas, the compiler of the Vedas himself, prophesied to appear again to explain and reaffirm Dharma during the actual conflict.
it's a truly diverse strategic council.
They represent every facet of justice and power needed. But Kali is not outmatched. His army is innumerable, born from that darkness within humanity, and he has nearly invincible generals.
This is the big strategic problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one mentioned in the source. Koka and Vikak. Who are they? What's the deal with their unbeatable boon?
So, Koka and Vikak are the sons of Rigasura, a demon so cunning he supposedly surpassed Shakuni from the Mahabharata.
That's saying something.
It is. They performed penance for 1,000 years and got a critical boon from Lord Brahma, the creator,
And that boon was...
that they cannot be killed. Because if one of them is alive, he can instantly revive the other with just a glance.
So they're effectively 2 halves of a single immortal entity.
Exactly. It's not about brute strength. It's a strategic loophole designed to paralyze any opponent.
Okay, so we've arrived at the final stage. The armies are set. The enemy has a game-breaking advantage. The Puranas say this final battle isn't fought with mantras or rituals.
No, it's physical. It's the ultimate physical manifestation of divine wrath. Kalki is on his horse, sword in hand.
But even with the Brahmastra and the 7 immortals, that boon for Koka and Vikak still stands.
It does, and the source says Kalki has to seek counsel from the Supreme Brahma himself, the very creator who granted the boon.
To find out how to overcome it, it shows that even in the face of absolute power, knowledge and strategy are what matter. So what's the key? What does the creator reveal?
The resolution is just. It's elegantly simple and absolute. When the sword of truth falls, no one remains immortal.
Meaning?
The power of ultimate dharma, of ultimate truth, overrides even a cosmic boon. It reveals that Kalki's sword isn't just a weapon of metal, it's the physical manifestation of unchallengeable truth.
So with that loophole closed, the final confrontation begins. Kalki versus Kali, the embodiment of sin.
And the narrative describes this cosmic moment. The sky stops, the earth trembles, everything is waiting for the end.
Kalki raises his divine sword, which is known as Yuganta.
The ender of the era.
There's a single decisive strike. Kali is destroyed. And the source says his scream will be heard for ages, followed by this profound universal silence.
The definitive end of the Age of Darkness.
And that battle isn't just a victory. It's called the rebirth of humanity. The cycle completes, and truth triumphs.
And then comes the final act of cosmic restoration, the the union of the divine. The Puranas describe Sri Harikalki marrying goddess Padma.
An incarnation of goddess Lakshmi herself.
This union is the auspicious moment that formalizes the reunification of the universe with Sanatana Dharma, with the eternal order.
Peace descends. Dharma is seated back on its throne, fully restored. And the new age, Satyayuga, begins.
An age with no deceit, no sin, just love, religion, and light.
So we've tracked this incredible arc, from total moral collapse to the training of the divine warrior, the assembly of this immortal army.
The strategic defeat of seemingly invincible generals, and that final strike that resets the cosmos. It's a mechanism for absolute cosmic balance.
And the complexity of the alliances, figures like the demon King Bali and the cursed warrior Ashwathama fighting alongside Kalki, that really stands out.
It emphasizes that when the world is in crisis, righteousness has to be drawn from every corner, regardless of history or origin.
But what really stands out to me, and it's what the source leaves us with, is the link back to human responsibility.
Yes.
The entire prophecy details this massive divine intervention. But the impetus, the reason for it all, is pinned on human behavior.
The Puranas make it unequivocally clear. It's human sins and silence in the face of unrighteousness that cause Kalki's sword to appear.
And that raises a crucial final question for you to think about. This myth details a vast, destructive intervention from a god, with immortal alliances and era-ending weapons.
But the ultimate trigger isn't just human action like greed or violence. It's the collective silence of humanity in the face of those evils.
So what does this mythological blueprint tell us about our ongoing responsibility within this cycle of righteousness? What's the cost of our moral inaction? If the Qur'an suggests it ultimately requires the complete violent reset of the entire universe.
It connects the grandest cosmic scale directly back to the smallest personal choices. The myth suggests that the only thing that sustains the Kali Yuga is our refusal to speak against the tide of adharma, and that really is the lasting insight of the prophecy.